The message arrived on a Tuesday morning, though in the endless black of space, days meant nothing. Ambassador Yara Chen sat alone in her small office aboard the ESS Perseverance, reading the words on her screen for the third time. She was a tall woman with gray streaks in her black hair and eyes that had seen too much. War and just enough peace to still believe in. The message came from the conclave of eternal races. Every human who studied the stars knew that name. They were the oldest civilizations in the galaxy, beings who had watched suns be born and die. Some of them had existed for millions of years. They had seen thousands of young species rise from their home planets and reach for the stars. They had watched most of those species destroy themselves. Now they wanted to meet humanity. Yara read the invitation again. The words were polite, even kind. The conclave wished to welcome humanity to the galactic community. They offered a chance for the young species to prove itself worthy of joining the great civilizations. All humanity had to do was complete the trials of ascension. The trials. Yara had heard rumors about them. Every species that wanted to join the conclave had to pass these tests. Nobody knew exactly what they involved. The species that failed never talked about it. They simply faded away, turning inward, giving up on the stars forever. A soft chime told her that a ship had arrived. Yara stood and walked to the observation deck. Outside the window, she saw something beautiful and terrifying. A vessel made entirely of crystal floated in space, catching the light of distant stars and breaking it into 1,000 colors. It was the most elegant thing she had ever seen. The conclave's emissary came aboard an hour later. The being called itself the Witness. It was tall and thin, its body made of something that looked like living glass. Light moved inside it like slow lightning. When it spoke, its voice sounded like wind chimes in a storm. "Ambassador Chun," the Witness said, "I bring greetings from the conclave of eternal races. We have watched your species with interest." Yara bowed her head slightly. "We are honored by your attention." The Witness made a sound that might have been laughter. "Your species has accomplished much for creatures who live only a century. You have spread to dozens of worlds. You have built cities in the void. You have even survived a war that nearly ended you." Yara said nothing. Every human knew about the Great Collapse 300 years ago. Humanity had nearly destroyed itself with war and greed and hatred. Billions had died. The survivors had crawled from the ashes and sworn to be better. They had rebuilt slowly, carefully, with the memory of their failure burned into their hearts. "We are curious," the Witness continued, "how long your fire will burn before it gutters out." Yara looked into the creature's crystalline face. She could see her own reflection there, small and fragile. "You expect us to fail?" The Witness did not deny it. "Every young species believes it is special. Every young species believes it will be the one to stand among the eternal. They are always wrong. The universe is vast and cold, and does not care about hope or dreams or love. These things are illusions the mortals create to comfort themselves before the end. And yet you invite us to try. We invite you because we are curious. It has been a long time since we have seen a new species attempt the trials. Perhaps you will provide some entertainment before you break." Yara felt anger rise in her chest, but she pushed it down. She had not become an ambassador by letting her emotions control her. Instead, she smiled. "We accept." The Witness tilted its head. "You do not wish to consult your leaders? Your people? I speak for humanity in matters of first contact. That is my purpose. And I already know what my people will say. You seem very certain. I am." Yara stepped closer to the crystalline being. She had to look up to meet its eyes, but she did not feel small. 300 years ago, we nearly died. We looked into the darkness and saw our own extinction. Do you know what we did? The witness waited. We chose to live. Not just to survive, but to live. To build. To grow. To become better than we were. We did not do this because we believed we would succeed. We did it because giving up was not acceptable. Uncomfortable. It was never an option. Pretty words, the witness said. But words do not pass the trials. No, actions do. And humanity has 3 centuries of actions to show what we are made of. The witness studied her for a long moment. Something flickered in its crystalline depths, something Yara could not read. You do not fear us. That is unusual. Every other species we have contacted has shown fear. I did not say I was not afraid, Yara replied. I said I was not going to let fear make my decisions. There is a difference, an interesting distinction. The witness turned toward the window, looking out at the stars. The trials will begin in one of your months. You may bring 12 representatives. Choose them carefully. The challenges will test everything you are. What kind of challenges? I cannot say. But I will tell you this, Ambassador. The trials are not designed to be passed. They are designed to reveal truth. The truth of what a species really is, underneath all its beliefs and stories and hopes. Yara nodded slowly. Then we have nothing to worry about. You are confident. I am honest. Whatever we are not ashamed of it. We have seen our own darkness. We have faced the worst parts of ourselves. There is nothing your trials can show us that we have not already seen. The witness made that wind chime sound again. This time, Yara thought she heard something different in it. Not amusement. Something closer to interest. I have visited many species, Ambassador. I have delivered this invitation hundreds of times. They all respond the same way. They boast of their strength, their intelligence, their technology. You are the first to speak of darkness and failure. That is because we remember, Yara said. We carry our failures with us, not as shame, but as teachers. They remind us of what we must never become again. The witness moved toward the door. I will see you in 1 month, Ambassador. I admit I am curious to see if your species is truly as unusual as you believe. We are not unusual, Yara said. We are human. That has always been enough. The crystalline being paused at the door. For a moment, it said nothing. Then, softly, we shall see. After the witness left, Yara stood alone on the observation deck. She watched the crystal ship drift away until it was just another point of light among the stars. Then she began writing her report to Earth. Humanity had been challenged. Now humanity would answer. The planet was called the Crucible, and it was a place designed to break the spirit. The sky changed colors every few hours, shifting from blood red to sickly green to a purple so dark it was almost black. Gravity shifted without warning. Sometimes the humans felt light as feathers. Other times they could barely stand. Time moved strangely here. A day on the Crucible could feel like a week, or it could pass in what seemed like minutes. The 12 humans stood together as the conclave ships left them behind. They had been given nothing. No supplies. No tools. No shelter. Only the clothes on their backs and whatever knowledge they carried in their minds. The witness spoke to them one final time before departing. Your task is simple. Survive for 1 local cycle. By your measurement, this is approximately 11 years. We will return to collect whoever remains. 11 years. Alone on an alien world that seemed designed to drive them mad. Marcus Webb, the engineer, was the first to speak after the ships disappeared. He was a large man with kind eyes and hands that had built everything from bridges to starships. Well, he said, we should probably find water. And so they began. The conclave had placed observers in orbit, recording everything. They had done this many times before. They knew exactly what would happen. The newcomers would struggle to find food and water. They would fight over resources. Fear would turn to anger, anger to violence. The weak would die first, and then the strong would turn on each other. It was always the same, but the humans did something the Conclave did not expect. They worked together. From the first day, they shared everything equally. When someone found edible plants, they brought them back for everyone. When someone discovered a source of clean water, they built containers together to carry it. Nobody took more than their share. Nobody blamed others when things went wrong. The first year was the hardest. 2 of them got sick from eating the wrong berries. The group took turns caring for them through the long nights until they recovered. One man broke his leg when the gravity shifted suddenly. They made a splint from branches and carried him until he could walk again. The Conclave observers grew confused. They had never seen this before. By the 3rd year, the humans had built a small settlement. Nothing fancy, just rough shelters made of stone and the strange purple wood that grew in the valleys. But they had also built something else. A garden. Elena Vasquez, a biologist, had figured out which plants could grow in the crucible's strange soil. She taught the others how to tend them. Soon they had more food than they needed. They started drying and storing it. Why? The observers wondered. They cannot take it with them. Why plan for a future they may not see? The humans did not explain. They simply kept building. In the 5th year, they started a school. It seemed absurd. There were only 12 of them, all adults. But Maria Santos, who had been a teacher on Earth, said that learning should never stop. She taught them songs from her homeland. The engineer taught basic physics. The doctor taught everyone how to treat common injuries. They also wrote things down. They used sharp stones to carve words into flat pieces of rock. Stories, lessons, warnings about which plants were poisonous and which caves flooded when it rained. Who were these for? The observers asked each other. They are alone. There was no one else to read them. The answer came in the 8th year. Lin Mei Ling, the poet, was the oldest among them. She had been 72 when they arrived. Now she was 80. Her body was failing, and everyone knew she would not see the end of the trial. The group gathered around her bed in the largest shelter. They had decorated the walls with paintings made from crushed berries and colored stones. Someone had carved flowers into the wooden frame of her bed. "I am not sad," Meiling told them. Her voice was weak, but her eyes were bright. "I came here expecting to die alone in the dark. Instead, I am surrounded by family." She passed away that night, smiling. They buried her in the garden she had helped build and planted flowers on her grave. The observers did not understand. They had watched countless species face death on the crucible. They had seen despair, rage, madness. They had never seen peace. The humans continued. They built a small monument for Mei Ling. They added her poems to their collection of carved stones. They told stories about her around the fire at night. She was gone, but she was not forgotten. 3 more years passed. The humans grew older. Their hair turned gray, their faces lined with wrinkles. But they did not break. They kept working, kept building, kept caring for each other. On the final day of the 11th year, the Conclave ships returned. The observers expected to find bodies. Maybe 1 or 2 survivors, broken and hollow. Instead, they found 11 humans waiting calmly at the landing site. They were thin and weathered, but they stood straight. They were smiling. Behind them stood their settlement. Not just shelters now, but a small village. There was the garden, still producing food. There was the school. And there, in the center of everything, was a building made of carefully stacked stones. The witness came down to meet them. It walked through the village in silence, studying everything the humans had created. Finally, It stopped before the stone building, and went inside. It found hundreds of carved stones, arranged in neat rows. Words covered every surface. The witness could read them. They were stories, lessons, histories. Everything the humans had learned about surviving on this world, preserved for anyone who might come after them. It was a library. The witness emerged and faced the humans. You knew you would probably die here. You had no guarantee of survival. Why did you waste effort on this? Marcus, the engineer, stepped forward. He was not the same man who had arrived 11 years ago. His hair was white now, his face deeply lined. But his eyes were the same, kind, calm, unbroken. They were not for us, he said. They were for whoever came next. The witness was silent for a long time. Around them, the crucible sky shifted from green to purple. Gravity flickered and steadied. The next species to attempt the trials may land on a different world, the witness finally said. They may never come here. Then someone else will, Marcus replied. Someday, someone will find this place. And when they do, they will know they are not alone. They will know that others survived here. They will have our knowledge to help them. You did this for strangers you will never meet. Yes, why? Marcus looked back at his companions. Yara Chun, Elena Vasquez. The doctor, the teacher, the soldier, all of them standing together under an alien sky. 11 people who had become a family. Because that is what humans do, he said. We build. We teach. We leave something behind. Not because we will be remembered, but because it is right. The witness had no response. It led them back to the ships in silence. The first trial was over. Humanity had passed. The chamber was beautiful and terrible. Walls of polished white stone rose toward a ceiling lost in shadow. Strange symbols carved into every surface glowed with soft blue light. At the center of the room stood a gate made of pure energy. It hummed with power that made the human's teeth ache. The witness called it the trial of hierarchy. The rules are simple, the crystalline being explained. Its voice echoed in the vast chamber. One of you must walk through that gate. The energy will destroy them completely. Nothing will remain. The others will watch. When one has been sacrificed, the rest may leave. The trial will be complete. The 11 humans stood together, still wearing the worn clothes they had survived in on the crucible. They looked at the gate, then at each other. You are asking us to kill one of our own, Yarachum said. I am asking you to choose, the witness replied. Every society has hierarchy. Every group has those who matter more and those who matter less. This trial reveals the truth of how you value each other. And if we refuse, then you fail. Your species will never join the conclave. You will return to your little corner of the galaxy and fade into nothing, as all mortal things do. The witness moved to a platform at the edge of the chamber. From there, it could see everything. You have one of your hours to decide. Choose wisely. Then it fell silent. The humans gathered in a circle. For a long moment, nobody spoke. They had spent 11 years together on the crucible. They had built a home. They had buried one of their own. They were not strangers anymore. They were family. Marcus Webb broke the silence. We could draw lots. Make it random. Fair. Elena Vasquez shook her head. How is it fair that anyone dies? Someone has to, said Chun Wei, the soldier. He was a quiet man who had spoken little during their time on the crucible. That is what they want. If we do nothing, we all fail. Then we all fail, said Dr. Amar Okafor. She was the group's physician, a woman who had spent her life saving lives. I did not survive 11 years to become a murderer. It would not be murder, Chun Wei said softly. It would be sacrifice. Someone giving their life so others can live. Would you volunteer then? Chen Wei was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded. If that is what the group decides, yes. I have no family waiting for me. I have lived a good life. I could die for something meaningful. No. Yara stepped forward. I will not allow it. Ambassador, we did not survive the crucible by choosing who mattered more and who mattered less. We survived because we refused to make that choice. We treated every life as precious. Every single one. But this is different, Marcus said. Someone has to go through that gate. If no one does, we fail. Do we? Yara looked at the glowing gate, then back at her companions. They said one must go through. They never said what happens if more than one goes. The group fell silent. They understood what she was suggesting. You mean all of us, Elena said slowly. Together. Yes, we would all die. Maybe, or maybe they would stop us. Either way, we would not betray each other. We would not choose some lives over others. We would face whatever comes as equals. The witness watched from its platform. It could hear everything. It had witnessed this moment many times before. The arguments, the fear, the eventual betrayal. Some species held votes. Others let the strongest decide. A few drew lots to make it seem fair. But in the end, someone always walked to the gate alone while the others watched, thought the hour was almost over. The humans broke their circle. They lined up facing the gate. All 11 of them, standing shoulder to shoulder, thought the witness rose. What are you doing? Only one is required. We know, Yara said. But we choose to go together. That is not the trial. It is now. They began to walk forward. 11 people, moving as one toward the humming gate of energy. Their steps were steady. Their faces were calm. The witness did not understand. This had never happened before. In 10,000 years of trials, no species had ever refused to choose. No group had ever walked to destruction together, rather than sacrifice one of their own. The humans reached the gate. Blue light washed over their faces. They could feel the energy pulling at them, hungry and cold. Yara took Marcus's hand. Marcus took Elena's. One by one, they linked together until all 11 were connected. On 3, Yara said quietly. 1, 2, stop. The voice came from everywhere at once. The gate flickered and died. The blue light faded. The humans stood at the threshold of nothing. The witness approached them. For the first time since they had met, it seemed uncertain. Its crystalline body flickered with colors they had never seen before. You would all die? Truly, rather than choose one? Yes, Yar said simply. Why? Some of you barely knew each other before the trials began. You are not family. You are not tribe. You have no genetic bond to protect. We are human, Marcus said. That is our bond. But that is arbitrary. An accident of birth. It means nothing. It means everything. Yara released Marcus's hand and stepped toward the witness. You asked us to reveal the truth of how we value each other. This is our truth. Every human life is precious. Not because of what that person can do or what they have achieved, but simply because they are human. We do not rank each other. We do not choose who matters more. Even strangers? Even enemies? Even them. We fail at this sometimes. We have done terrible things to each other throughout our history. But this is what we believe, what we try to be. No one is expendable. No one is acceptable loss. The witness was silent for a very long time. The chamber seemed to hold its breath. The conclave will need to deliberate, it finally said. This has never occurred before. There is no precedent. Take your time, Yara said. We will wait. 6 hours passed. The humans sat together in the great chamber, talking quietly, sharing memories, even laughing sometimes. They did not know if they would live or die. They did not seem to care. Finally, the witness returned. The conclave has reached a decision. The trial of hierarchy is waived. Waived? Not passed. The conclave does not admit defeat, but waived. You may proceed to the final trial. Relief washed through the group, but Yara kept her face calm. Thank you. The witness led them out of the chamber. As they walked through the great stone corridors, it fell into step beside Yara. Its voice was quiet, meant for her alone. I have watched thousands of species face this trial. They always choose the strong force, the weak forward. The majority sacrifices the minority. The leaders protect themselves and send followers to die. This is the way of all intelligent life. Not all life, Yara said. So it seems. The witness paused. Why would you die for them? Some of them you met only weeks ago. It does not matter how long we have known each other. How can it not matter? Yara smiled. It was a tired smile, but warm. Because they are human. That is enough. That will always be enough. The witness had no response. It walked beside her in silence, and if light could look troubled, the light inside it did. The weapon was small enough to hold in one hand. It looked like a simple metal sphere, covered in symbols that hurt to look at directly. But inside that sphere was the power to destroy a star. The witness placed it on the table before the 11 humans. They sat in a circular room with windows that looked out on a beautiful blue planet. Clouds swirled across its surface. Lights glittered on the night side where cities sprawled. This is Nathara, the witness said. Homeworld of the Nathari. The humans knew the name. Every human knew it. 40 years ago, the Nathari had attacked human colonies without warning. They burned 3 worlds. 20 million humans had died in the raids. Men, women, children, all turned to ash because the Nathari saw humanity as a threat to be eliminated. The war that followed was brutal and short. Humanity won, but at terrible cost. The Nathari retreated to their home system and had stayed there ever since, watching and waiting. The device before you can destroy their sun, the witness continued. It will expand into a supernova. Nathara and everything in this system will be vaporized. 3 billion Nathari will die in an instant. The humans stared at the weapon. Some of them had lost family in the Nathari raids. Jin Tanaka, the old soldier, had lost his daughter. She had been 12 years old, living on one of the colony worlds when the attack came. Her body was never found. This is the final trial, the witness said. The trial of justice. Every young species that reaches this point is given the same choice. Before you is an enemy that has wronged you. Before you is the power to destroy them completely. Use the weapon, and you pass. Refuse, and you fail. There is no middle path. The room was very quiet. Outside the window, Nathara turned slowly, peaceful, and blue. You must understand, the witness continued. The conclave does not make moral judgments. We do not say revenge is right or wrong. We simply observe that every intelligent species, when given the power to destroy those who hurt them, will use it. This is the final truth of civilization. Survival requires the elimination of threats. Jin Tanaka stood. He was 80 years old now, white-haired and weathered from 11 years on the crucible. But his hands were steady as he picked up the weapon. The others watched him. Nobody spoke. Jin held the sphere close to his face, studying the strange symbols. Then he looked out the window at Nathara. My daughter was named Yuki, he said quietly. She loved birds. She wanted to be a veterinarian when she grew up. She never got the chance. His voice was calm, but tears ran down his weathered cheeks. I have dreamed of revenge for 40 years. When I close my eyes, I see the Nethari ships burning our colonies. I hear the screams. I feel the hate. He turned the weapon over in his hands. There are 3 billion people on that planet. Most of them were not born when the raids happened. They have never seen a human. They have families, children, dreams of their own. They are not the ones who killed my Yuki. Jin set the weapon back on the table. I will not become what they were. I will not burn worlds. I will not murder children to avenge a child. He sat down heavily. His whole body was shaking, but his voice was clear. If this means we fail, then we fail. Some things are not worth winning. The witness observed him with those cold crystal eyes. You speak only for yourself. Others in your group may feel differently. Yara Chun stood. He speaks for me as well. One by one, the others rose. Marcus Webb, Alina Vasquez, Dr. Amara Okafor, Chen Wei, every single one of them. You are all certain? The witness asked. You would give up your place among the stars? You would return to obscurity, forgotten and alone, rather than take justice for the wrongs done to you. Justice is not the same as revenge, Yara said. Justice means punishing those responsible. Revenge means hurting anyone connected to them. We will not commit genocide to balance the scales. The Nethari would show you no such mercy. We are not the Nethari. The witness picked up the weapon. For a long moment, it simply stood there, holding the power to destroy worlds in its crystalline hand. The Conclave designed these trials over millions of years. It said finally, we have watched species after species fail. Not at the trial of endurance. Not at the trial of hierarchy. Those are merely preparation. The true test has always been this one. Because you knew we would want revenge, Yara said. Because every species wants revenge. It is built into the foundation of intelligence itself. To survive, you must destroy threats. To protect your own, you must eliminate enemies. This is not cruelty. It is evolution. And if we refuse to follow evolution, then you are something new. The witness set the weapon back on the table. Something we have not seen before. Does that mean we pass? No. You have failed the trial. The Conclave's decision is final. Humanity will not join the eternal races. You will return to your little corner of the galaxy, and in time, you will be forgotten. The humans stood in silence. They had known this was possible. They had made their choice anyway. But, the witness continued, and something strange entered its voice. I wonder if failure means what it used to mean. What do you mean? The witness turned toward the window. Nethera floated there, blue and peaceful, saved by the mercy of creatures who had every reason to destroy it. For 10 million years, the Conclave has judged civilizations by their willingness to use power. We believed that the strong survive and the weak perish. We believed that mercy was a flaw to be eliminated. But you, the witness, fell silent. We showed you something else, Yara said softly. You showed me that power and mercy can exist together. That a species can be strong enough to destroy its enemies and wise enough not to. In 10 million years, I have never seen this. The witness turned back to face them. The light inside its crystalline body had changed. It was softer now, less cold. I must report your failure to the Conclave. That is my duty. But I will also report what I witnessed here today. I do not know what they will make of it. Perhaps nothing. Perhaps everything? And the Nethari? Jin asked. Will they know what happened here? Will they know we chose to spare them? Would it matter to you if they did? Jin thought for a moment. Then he shook his head. No, we did not do this for their gratitude. We did it because it was right. The witness made that wind chime sound again. But this time, it sounded almost like wonder. Your species confuses me, humans. You are so fragile. You live such short lives. You have so many reasons to be cruel, and yet we try to be kind, Yara finished. That is all we can do. Try. The witness led them out of the room. Behind them, the weapon sat alone on the table, unused. Outside the window, 3 billion Nathari continued their lives, never knowing how close they had come to extinction, never knowing they had been saved by the mercy of strangers. The human ships prepared to leave conclave space. It had been 3 days since the final trial, 3 days since humanity had been declared failures. Now they would return home, just as the witness had said, to their little corner of the galaxy, to be forgotten. But something strange was happening. Yara Chun stood on the observation deck of the Perseverance, watching the stars. A soft chime announced a visitor. She turned to find the witness standing behind her, its crystalline body glowing in the dim light. "I came to say goodbye," the witness said. "That is kind of you. We did not expect it. I have been alive for 9 million years, Ambassador. In all that time, I have never felt the need to bid farewell to a failed species. You are the first." Yara smiled. "I suppose that is something." The witness moved to stand beside her at the window. For a moment, they watched the stars together in silence. "You have failed the trials," the witness said finally. "You will be forgotten. You will fade into nothing, as all mortal things do. This is what I am supposed to tell you, but I do not believe it anymore." The witness turned to face her. "Something is happening, Ambassador. Something I have never seen before." "What do you mean?" "The recordings of your trials were distributed to the conclave for judgment. Standard procedure. But they have spread beyond the conclave, much farther than they should have." Yara felt something stir in her chest. Who has seen them? Everyone. Every species in the galaxy with the technology to receive transmissions. The recordings are everywhere. Your trial on the Crucible. Your refusal to sacrifice each other. Your mercy toward the Nathari. How is that possible? I do not know. Perhaps one of the younger conclave members leaked them. Perhaps the universe itself wanted them seen. It does not matter. What matters is the reaction. The witness made that wind chime sound, but now it sounded different. Amazed. Almost frightened. Species that have been silent for millennia are speaking. Civilizations that failed the trials and retreated in shame are reaching out. Everyone is asking the same question. How did the humans do it? How did they survive 11 years on the Crucible without breaking? How did they choose death over betrayal? How did they spare their enemies when they had the power to destroy them? Yara did not know what to say. You do not understand, the witness continued. For 10 million years, the Conclave has told the galaxy that survival requires ruthlessness. That mercy is weakness. That the only way to live is to be willing to kill. Every species that failed the trials believed this was true. They believed they were weak because they could not be cruel enough. And now? Now they have seen a species that was kind and still survived. They have seen that another way is possible. The recordings are changing things, Ambassador. They are changing everything. The witness fell silent. Outside the window, the stars seemed to shine brighter. I do not know what will happen next, it said finally. But I know this. Humanity will not be forgotten. You have given the galaxy something it lost long ago. What did we give them? Hope. 10 years passed. The conclave of eternal races, which had ruled the galaxy for 10 million years, began to fracture. Species that had been silent members for millennia started asking questions. Why did the trials exist? Who benefited from watching young civilizations break? Why had the eternal races spent ages watching others fail instead of helping them grow? The answers were not satisfying. 50 years passed. The conclave dissolved. Not with war or violence, but with quiet agreement that it had served its purpose and that purpose was over. In its place rose something new. A commonwealth built not on tests and hierarchy, but on cooperation, on shared purpose, on the belief that all intelligent life had value. Humanity was at the heart of it, not because they were the strongest or the smartest or the most numerous, not because they had conquered or proved themselves superior, but because they had shown the galaxy what it had forgotten was possible. 100 years passed. On a small planet at the edge of explored space, a memorial stood. It was a simple building made of carefully stacked stones, just like the library the humans had built on the Crucible. Inside were recordings of the trials. Inside were the names of the 12 humans who had faced them. Inside was the story of how mercy changed the galaxy. Visitors came from thousands of worlds to see it. They came to remember. They came to learn. The witness still lived. 9 million years old now, older than most stars, it had watched civilizations rise and fall like waves on a shore. It had seen everything. Or so it had believed. In its final hours, as the light inside it began to fade, the witness sent one last message to Earth. It traveled across the galaxy, through the vast distances of space, to the small blue world where humanity had been born. The message contained a single word. It was a word the crystalline beings had not used in 10 million years. A word they had forgotten they knew. The word was teacher. The message arrived on a spring morning. A young woman found it waiting in the archives. She read it once, then again, not quite believing what she saw. She walked outside into the sunlight. Above her, ships from 100 different worlds crossed the sky. Children of a dozen species played together in the parks. The galaxy was changing, healing, becoming something new. All because, long ago, 11 humans had refused to give up on kindness. The woman smiled and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, in the vast darkness between worlds, the light of the witness was finally going out. But its message remained. Teacher. Humanity had failed the trials. Humanity had been declared unworthy. And yet, somehow, humanity had done something the eternal races could not. They had taught the immortals what it meant to be alive. In the end, that was what astonished the cosmos. Not strength, not technology, not the power to destroy, but the simple, stubborn, beautiful choice to be kind when cruelty would have been easier, to build when destruction would have been simpler, to love when hate was all around them. The ancient ones had hoped to see a mortal collapse. What occurred was something they never expected. The mortals taught them how to stand.